Welcome to Teachers PIEdcast, Kwentong Guro, where we share stories of different teachers and their journey in teaching. Catch us in Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify Anchor.
Hi guys, I am Kateach Julia, and together with me is Kateach Fami.
Hi everyone, I'm Kateach Fami, and welcome to our very first episode of Teachers PIEdcast 2.0. The title of our first episode is From Student to Teacher. And for the next couple of weeks, Teachers PIE has laid out different episodes that will for sure get your attention. And of course, make you enjoy while learning through ours and guest stories.
That is correct, Kateach Fami. For this year, they have planned on making it a bit different. In this edition, we have called it #Kwentong Guro.
Grabe, kakaiba talaga ang brain cells ng mga nasa Teachers PIE. Ang exciting naman nito. Ito na ba yung exciting part na sinasabi nila? Pero, Kateach Julia, ano ba yung #Kwentong Guro? Magda-lecture ba dito? May discussion?
Oo, magla-lecture tayo. Joke lang. #Kwentong Guro is the edition of the PIEdcast for this year, where we will be reading stories of different teachers who will share their experiences in teaching.
Wow, exciting nga talaga. Nakaka-excite naman kay Teach. Super want ko rin talaga malaman ng journey and mga experiences ng iba't ibang mga guro. And not just here in Miriam College, but everywhere else. Not just in the Philippines, but maybe we can also have guests around the world. And as we all know, teachers sacrifice a lot for us. Not just for their current students, but applicable to sa lahat. Especially their own selves. Alam mo naman yan.
Tama ka dyan, Kateach Fami. Kaya naman, huwag na nating patagalin. Kilala mo ba kung sino yung letter sender natin?
Ito ba yung teacher that actually took a different course back in college but now dedicated sila sa sarili nila in the field of education?
Tama! Si Teacher Melissa Castro ay graduate ng BS Entrepreneurship sa De La Salle University year 2009 and enrolled again back in 2013 at De La Salle University to take a Master of Science in Teaching with a specialization in Mathematics. Ngayon, siya ay nagtuturo ng grade 5 sa MGC New Life Christian Academy.
Wow, may narinig ako math. Medyo kinabahan ako. Baka may mathematics tayo marinig dito.
Wag naman.
Wag naman sana, no? Pero I'm really eager to know more about Teacher Melissa's journey in becoming a teacher and kung nasan siya ngayon. So, let's get into it, ha?
Yes, let's get into it.
Melissa's journey to becoming a teacher. You know, back in elementary days, when you needed to write that what you want to be when you grow up in the yearbook, I think I actually wrote that I want to be a teacher. But through high school, I thought to myself, I just wanted to get it over with. And if I'll be a teacher, I would need to study the same stuff. So, never mind that. Even though I did help some of my classmates in physics, chemistry, and the math-related subjects. They will go to my place after class and I teach them whatever they didn't understand from our teachers and they'd bring pancit canton and RC Cola. But still, I didn't want studying and teaching about this complicated stuff to be something I will do as a career. I chose to take BS in entrepreneurship in college. It was completely my choice. Just a disclaimer because I know that's not common in the Philippines. I thought that I didn't want to get held in a company and I'd rather start my own thing. Little did I know, starting your own business can be so stressful and a bit traumatic, especially when some of your professors don't even believe that you can do it. As a result, I chose to just apply for companies after I graduated in 2009. But before applying for companies, I became a volunteer campus missionary for 1 term. In 2010, I became an independent beauty consultant, which I took seriously for a few months but got tired of actively selling since I was never passionate about selling beauty products. In 2011, I became my cousin's math tutor, which I really enjoyed because 1, I do like statistics. 2, she's one of my favorite cousins. 3, I got paid. And lastly, we could order whatever food we liked. Until I got an opportunity to apply for a fashion brand. Everything was set. And as part of their protocol, I had to have a medical examination. They have their own clinic, so I did it there the same day. For some reason, I waited 2 to 3 hours for the result of my medical. Then they gave me this paper that I got a grade of D, which means I failed because I disclosed that I have MVP or mitral valve prolapse, which is a common congenital heart condition that doesn't really prevent me from doing things. I mean, I survived college, didn't I? That was July 29, 2011. I thought to myself, I guess it's okay. I can still tutor my cousin. But when I told my uncle the news the next day, he said since I wasn't supposed to be available anymore, they were able to find a new tutor for her. So not only did I not get the job in this fashion brand, I even lost the one I had. So I chose to say to myself, things will get better. And then the very next day, July 31, I found out through Facebook that my only guy best friend at the time all of a sudden passed away. Because of this, one of my girl best friends called to meet up to comfort me. She brought along her then boyfriend who worked for a fashion magazine. He gave me his business card so I can try to apply there. One of the requirements to apply for the magazine group was a fashion portfolio, so I had to print several photos. I went to a printing shop and the owner asked about the photos and my mom said that I'm applying for a fashion magazine. The owner happened to be close friends with the HR manager of this fashion brand at the time and gave my mom her contact details, so I could apply there as well. I didn't get the job in the first fashion magazine, but after 45 interviews, I was able to bag the job as assistant section manager in the second one. After 3.5 months of working in retail, it got too toxic. The schedule, the environment, etc. At the end of February 2012, I resigned. I got another job in May in an offline company as a business development officer in the fashion and accessories department. But I only stayed there until October, before I was about to be regularized because there was no growth in the company. Before I resigned, I already applied to be a tutor in a tutoring corporation. I was able to pass the test and started working as a part-time tutor. The longer I stayed with the company, I got more hours and became a senior tutor. Little did I know, I was already there for 7 months and I didn't feel stressed at all. I really enjoyed tutoring the kids and seeing them appreciate math, especially when I'm teaching them. So I decided to make it my career. I enrolled in DLSU in May 2013 to take a Master of Science in Teaching with a specialization in mathematics, as a step to being a college professor while still tutoring. In January 2014, the branch I was working as a tutor closed, but instead of going to another branch, I decided to become a private tutor to some of my tutees who still wanted me to be their tutor. In October 2015, I passed my written comprehensive exam and could already start doing my thesis. However, in February 2016, we found out that my mom's cancer has returned after 8 years. I couldn't bring myself to do my thesis since it was my mom who was my fellow math person in the family, and she was the one who would always help me do my academic papers. I took care of her while still tutoring. As a family who loves eating out, we wouldn't do that anymore since my mom had to stay at home. I then learned how to cook the food we usually would eat from our favorite restaurants. I stayed by her side almost the entire time until she passed away on May 3, 2017. In July 2019, I got a message from a teacher of an international academy asking if I'd be interested in becoming a part-time math teacher. I thought taking this job would be a nice opportunity for me to do my thesis since I wanted to introduce a teaching method.
On the day of my teaching demo and interview, a recently hired full-time math teacher suddenly resigned and the school admin or HR pressured me into taking the full-time job instead of just a part-time one. The part-time job is just a half day, which is perfect. because I would have time to work on my thesis and still tutor my regular tutors. But she wouldn't take no for an answer. So I gave in and said, I'll try. Even if my anxiety was kicking in because this isn't what I signed up for. I only wanted the job so I could do my thesis and make extra income. But then, the school was already in the third week of classes and they still lacked a math teacher for grade 7 to 11. So, the only reason I still pushed through with the job was to help them until they found a full-time teacher. Although, that is still no excuse for pressuring me in saying yes to the job. Little did I know, they were just getting started and it would be the worst teaching experience in my entire life. They even made me resign right in the middle of the fourth quarter. Unfortunately, the moment I was already about to apply for another job, the March 2020 lockdown was implemented. I could have sworn that I didn't want to teach in an academic institution ever again. The lockdown was the worst, though, since I lost my duties since academics were practically put on hold until July of that year. In July 2020, a couple of my duties resumed tutorials through Zoom, and by October, I had more students. In January 2021, I got a job as a private tutor for 3 sisters ages 2, 4, and 6. I go to their house and teach them math, science, English, art, music, PE, and others. I was basically a governess, except that I don't live there. It was a well-paying job, 5 days a week, 5 hours a day. I still had other duties that I met through Zoom late in the afternoon when I got home. Around April or May, I was invited by a board of director of a Christian school to apply. I was hesitant at first given my past experience, especially since it's also a Christian school. Although the cousin I tutored before graduated from this school, and I tutored her while she was still studying there. I decided to push through with the application even though it took me a while to send the filled up form since I was still traumatized from the previous school. To my surprise, during my first interview, I felt so at ease and I even cried because of the clear, authentic love for God. No toxicity at all. I felt genuinely welcomed, even in the teaching demo, which was followed by a panel interview with the principal. The principal truly embodied what it's like to be a Christian leader. The only cons in getting the job is that they are transitioning into an IB school for the primary years program. The first months as an IB teacher was challenging. Classes were half-day, but meetings with teachers would extend till late evening to plan for the next day for the subjects that we teach, since there should be uniformity for each strand of the units of inquiry, aka UOI, which comprises of math, ELA or English Language and Arts, science, and social studies. The UOI subjects are taught by the homeroom teacher and homeroom partner. For this school year, I taught math and social studies to one section of grade 5 students. It was extremely tiring. I barely had sleep for the first couple of months until we, as a grade 5 teacher, slowly pick it up. Some close friends who were very concerned even told me that maybe I should just quit. But I told them that I'll at least see the school year through and I just don't want to abandon my homeroom teacher. Last January, we were given the commitment form for the next school year. It took me a while to sign it, but I eventually did. I was supposed to put a short message with the email when I sent it to my supervisor, like, looking forward to working with you for the next school year, but I didn't. I knew I was dreading the next school year. Now that the school year is almost done, just finishing checking, I can say that teaching in a school is definitely challenging, and summer breaks are a must or no one else would be able to keep their sanity in their profession. But given that, it is endurable and sometimes even enjoyable, as long as the work environment, especially the people you work with, is not toxic, and where everyone has a genuine relationship with Christ. Gaining new besties is a very nice way of coping together. Do I still see myself teaching in the next 5 years or so? Maybe, or maybe not. But now, I actually am open to that possibility. But who knows where God will bring me?
Wow, grabe yung story ni Teacher Melissa, especially like right from the start, there was a lot of bumpy roads that she have met along the way. And medyo relate ako kay Teacher Melissa kasi di ba, Julia, as I have shared with you all, I wanted to be in the medical field to the point that it was my focus up until my first year in college. And as for Teacher Melissa naman, although it was her choice na she took up entrepreneurship and wanted to start her own business, na totoo naman talaga, right? Na it's tedious and traumatic if the people around you are not that supportive. But grabe rin how she was still able to go on and try things out, that parang she never lost hope. And parang little did she know, kumbaga, her passion to teach pala is in her all along.
You know what, Pammy, what I learned from Teacher Melissa and from her story is that life is really not just full of sunshine and rainbows. It still has its bumpy sides. Although, despite the struggles that we are facing, we could just still pursue our passion because pursuing our passion makes us feel fulfilled. Kaya naman kahit mahirap, talagang pagpapatuloy pa rin natin. And her story is both an inspiration and also an eye-opener na kung ano ba talaga yung mga pinagdadaanan ng mga teachers natin. I would just like to point out how despite the teacher's work, she went through the MGC, we can see in her letter na parang mas bearable yung work doon kaysa sa unang school na napasukan niya. Also, despite the MGC being an IB school, which has more complex curriculum and nature of work as a teacher compared sa regular schools.
Tama ka dyan, Katish Julia. And grabe na parang yung transitions ng mga nangyari din sa kanya. And it did not stop her. Siguro yung nasa loob niya rin talaga yung teaching. And like what she mentioned din sa unang school, right? Yung medyo hindi good yung experience niya. And I think, personally, from what we heard and listened to, siguro yung mga students din yung nagpa-stay sa kanya kasi iba rin yung impact sa atin ng students na once we see that they are enjoying us teaching them or they value us din, parang they come to school to be there with us and iba rin talaga na you're part of their learning. So grabe talaga yon. And sobrang relate din talaga ako kasi personally I knew and the people close to me knew how much I love being with children. And sometimes, like before pa sa past, I try to tutor my little cousins or help my friends or classmates in some subject areas. And maybe just like Teacher Melissa, I did not realize it much sooner. Pero after the opportunities, the experiences that I was able to make, grabe, sobrang fulfilling talaga. Nakikita mo na parang may nabigay ka sa kanila na hindi man siya material thing, pero tas may connection kayo with the students or even with just your friends na parang, I was able to help them. I was able to help them learn or I think na nag-teach ka, ganon. And it's much beyond that yung napaparamdam sa'yo. And sobrang fulfilling and I can siguro say na I found my passion in teaching, especially ngayon na pre-service teachers tayo.
Tama ka dyan, ka-teach Pami. As a pre-service teacher as well, talaga namang naramdaman ko rin yan. Kahit minsan sa school talagang hirap-hirap na tayo, di ba? Pero patuloy pa rin talaga kasi iba yung binibigay na feeling ng mga bata kapag napapasaya mo sila at kapag natututo sila. Kaya naman talagang inspiring ng mga teachers natin, katulad ni Teacher Melissa kasi even your friends attempted to convince her to just drop the job. Pero she committed to it. This is a testament sa tibay ng ating mga guro at the same time sa importance ng isang magandang work environment. Para sa akin, yung work environment, like the people who we work with and the culture within our group can make a job difficult even if it's a easy job or can make a relatively easy job a little bit harder than it should.
Yes, tama ka dyan, Katish Julia. And alam mo yung parang kahit na, totoo naman, di ba, sobrang nabuburn out din tayo sa lahat. Kahit tayo na students pa lang, what more yung mga teachers na everyday, parang 24/7 nagtataba yung mga teachers eh. Sobrang grabe talaga yung dapat na commitment mo and dedication in this profession. And grabe, when you, siguro, once we become a teacher and we see our students, like, nag-grow na talaga sila. Ang sobrang sarap sa feeling kasi you contributed there. And totoo, yung sa work environment, iba yung nadadala nun sa'yo na kapag hindi ka stress sa work environment mo or you feel comfortable and all that, yung parang there's a lot of helping one another and you all grow together kahit parang as your own person, nag-grow ka kasi andun sila to support you and parang, yun nga, hindi ka kasi kasama yung siguro, di ba, na parang andun ka sa job, tapos parang dinedread mo kasi may kita mo na naman si ganito or what, pero hindi. Since it's a healthy environment, mas parang nakakadedag siya na mag-go ka lang na mag-go kasi you'll see those people na you became your friends na rin. So, facts talaga rin na we have to endure and sacrifice a lot when teaching. It's hard to take breaks. I guess it's one of our realities talaga, pero along the way, we learn a lot, we gain friendships, we have a lot of relationships with one another, we somehow find ourselves, siguro, makikita natin yung paano ba talaga yung purpose natin to serve and all that, and madami pang iba. So, saludo po ako sa'yo, Teacher Melissa, and of course, sa lahat ng guro natin. I agree din when she ended her letter to just be open of the countless of possibilities where we can be as God knows what He has planned for us.
Aside for the working environment, what I learned is that dapat talaga yung pinurpursue natin sa buhay. Kahit gaano pa kahirap, ay masaya tayo. Kasi diba sa unang job niya, parang sa mga dami niyang jobs na kinuha pero naboboard siya, iniiwan niya din, ganyan. So I think mahalaga na ginawa niya yun na umalis siya dun sa job na hindi siya masaya. Kasi kapag di tayo masaya, di rin tayo mapupulfill eh. So kahit mahirap, we just have to keep on pursuing what makes us happy. Diba? So I think what Teacher Melissa gave us is that it reminds us that mga ka-teach to balance our passion for service and our own well-being. Siyempre, dapat healthy din yung sarili natin. And I really agree with you, ka-teach Pami. I also love how Teacher Melissa ended her letter. She's not closing her heart to the endless possibilities in the future. And I hope tayo rin, magkaroon din tayo ng lakas na loob para maging open sa kaanumang opportunity that lies ahead of us.
Yes, that's right, Katish Julia. And yun nga, parang gusto ko lang din idagdag sa what you said na marami tayong pagdadaanan and all that, na siguro yun nga, yung iba rin yung magsistay ka sa healthy environment na you're happy. Pero sometimes kasi na may mistake na yung parang just because they're not happy, alis ka agad. Pero siguro there's something pa rin as na we can have to grab something na kung ano yung nagpapasaya sa atin. Pero kung totally hindi na talaga, yung as in, ikaw na mismo yung pagod na, wala nang saya at any, dun na lang siguro umalis. Kasi maybe that's just a challenge, diba? So, ayun. And for us pre-service teachers, marami tayong pwede pang maranasan. And yes, I agree na sana magkaroon din tayo to courage to be open sa kung ano man yung mangyari sa atin. And marami rin na even teachers na they did not really took up education in the first place, pero they're here now teaching. And I guess siguro yun yung mga parang call to serve natin by God. So thank you again to Teacher Melissa. Congratulations on your achievements and to the ones you will make someday. And of course, thank you to as well to all our teachers who never fail to not just teach us academics, but also life lessons that contributed to molding ourselves into being a better person and the person we can be in the future. But before we finish for today's podcast, Katish Julia, we should tell our listeners ang other natin social media accounts para updated sila sa next podcast natin and postings.
Ay, oo nga pala, kailangan pa natin mag-promote. Masyado na nating, masyado tayong na-engage sa kwento ni Teacher Melissa. Thank you, Teacher Melissa, for inspiring us to pursue our passion.
So thank you once again, and stay tuned for more updates here in our social media accounts. Do follow and subscribe to our Facebook, Miriam College Teachers P.I.E, YouTube Teachers P.I.E, Instagram and TikTok at Teachers P.I.E, and Spotify Teachers PIEdcast. And that is for our first episode for Teachers PIEdcast 2.0. We are excited to bring you more stories of hashtag Kwentong Guro in the following months. Once again, I am Ka-Teach Fami.
And I am Ka-Teach Julia at kami ang
Guro ng Kinabukasan. Thank you!
Thank you for listening!